Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Crypto Entrepreneurs Podcast with your host, Charles. Enjoy.
Hello, and welcome to episode 16 of the Crypto Entrepreneurs Podcast. I'm your host, the Crypto Guy, and today we're sitting down with former CBS LA anchor and reporter, Elsa Ramon. Elsa, can you...
Let's do it.
Yeah, can you give us a little bit more background on who you are, what you've been doing, and then how you got introduced to crypto?
Well, I started my journalism career I would say before I was even on air. I started by doing internships while I was in college. I was going to UC Irvine, Los Angeles, for most of my life. And I started doing internships at the local TV stations in my junior and senior years. I want to get into this business, do that because they get to know the people in the newsrooms and hopefully they can get a really low-level production assistant job out of it, before they graduate. Production assistants in LA newsrooms, take scripts to the anchors and whatever is asked of them from the producers, the reporters, the anchors, and we kind of, as interns, beg to go out with the reporters on their stories and in the studios during the newscast quietly in the corner and watch the anchors do the news. It's just a chance to learn all about it and have connections and make connections while you're in there. And hopefully, if you hustle, that impression and people in the newsroom recognizing your hard work gets you, at the very least, the entry-level production assistant. That's all you need. You just got to get your foot in the door and really prove yourself at that point. And that's what I did.
So you've, obviously gone on to have a very successful career after that. You worked in this industry for a very long time. What drew you to crypto? How did you first get involved with, the whole scene?
It was totally by accident. I mean, being a journalist for the last 22 years, of course I had heard about Bitcoin, but I was just like everybody else is and was. I knew it was a digital currency, but that's as far as it went. I mean, other than little articles here and there I saw pop up, I just knew nothing about the space. I definitely didn't know what blockchain technology was. And that was pretty much the extent of it. A year ago, I was asked to MC an event put on by some technologists and investors and crypto tax attorneys. What they wanted to do was have this panel and invite people to come and learn about crypto and blockchain and just learn everything they could about it from this Q&A session. I was asked to MC it because one of the technologists was familiar with me in Los Angeles. He had watched me and his mother had watched me anchor the newscast every night. So I was asked to kind of MC this event and keep it moving along. And in between, while I was listening to all the speakers with everybody else, I was learning just like everybody else when I wasn't up there introducing the next speaker and what they were going to talk about. And when I heard about blockchain technology, that's when everything changed for me. That's when I realized cryptocurrency and Bitcoin is one thing. It's a currency. It's what we give value to. But the blockchain technology was one of the most exciting and globally changing technologies I had ever heard about. And when I realized through listening to the speakers what it could do, what its potential is, how it can help us, how it can help marginalized people in other countries, how it can give who never would imagine in their whole lives they wouldn't get something, a bank account. I was blown away. As a journalist, wanted to do what I wanted to do because you give a voice to people. You have the capacity to be on air as a reporter and anchor, and you can be a voice for people who don't have that way to ask for help or spread word. So just intrigued and impressed by it. I wanted people. Blockchain wasn't just general knowledge, that this wasn't blowing up, that this wasn't like everybody going, this is going to change our lives. It really touched me so deeply that night that I never looked back, because you want to change people's lives. You want to inform them. You want to right wrongs. You want to bring justice. And I feel like blockchain, it can do all of that. What journalist wouldn't want to do that? To me, I felt like I had just struck gold and I couldn't stop.
Right? It's funny that before you're introduced to the scene, you it's almost like you had never heard of it. It had never come up before in life. And then as soon as you hear about it and you start doing a little bit of research, there's this kind of flick of the light that just everything changes. You realize, wow,
right?
It's crazy.
It's like an epiphany, in a way.
It really is, yeah. So you, unlike most of the people that I've had on, have a little bit of a different story. You didn't know too much about it, and then you kind of got pulled in to MC this event, and then you took it upon yourself to kind of just understand and listen. And you obviously, you're reporting on the news a lot. You're always on the cutting edge of new technology, stuff like that. So when you heard about this, it really piqued your interest, and from there you kind of just jumped headfirst right in. So after that event, you started researching more, I'm assuming, and learning more about it. Can you kind of tell us how that progressed into the project you're currently working on? And can you give us a brief overview of what that is and what you guys are doing?
Sure. So the people who put on the event that I emceed, I started to get to know them more, and they really started teaching me, because I started asking questions about it, and they were teaching me about and pointing me to resources. I was still working at CBS at the time, and at that point, I had no idea that 6-7 months later, I'd be leaving the network for this. But the more I talked to the panelists, the more I learned, or I just could not turn it off. And I kept going and going and researching, and then realizing that this is really starting to break into the mainstream media, as far as articles and coverage. And I started realizing that again, CNBC and Forbes all had crypto related Twitter accounts and complete sections on their website devoted to cryptocurrency and everything in the space. And look, being on the air and working for all the networks for the past 22 years, I know that once something starts making it into the mainstream media in that form, that there's no turning back. It's starting to make an impression. And then I realized, well, I know Bitcoin's been around for, at the time, it was almost 10 years. We were just shy of the 10-year anniversary. And I thought, well, it's been around for 10 years, just about. Now just starting to make it into the mainstream media. That means it's in. It took 10, all those 10 years, everybody, all of us, including myself, who were not in the space, have been lying dormant. And now it's there, it's front and center, and it's not being ignored by the traditional financial news outlets like the ones I just mentioned. All of these things just started clicking in my head. I was like, this is the future. And I had already been doing television news, kind of thinking, I need an afterlife after this career, because I see television news and the whole structure of it, the way it is now, dying. And I knew even a few years back that another passion, because this is not going to sustain. Newsrooms across the country, and I'm talking print, radio, television, we're cutting back and strangling the resources and giving people in newsrooms less to work with. I just saw the writing on the wall, but I didn't know what I could do, because this is what I worked for and did my whole life. So when all the dots started connecting and I started realizing this future, and not only that, but how captivated I was by the technology, by blockchain, I was like, I'm going to pitch this idea to the people at the event because I knew they were heavily invested in a lot of projects, and they have a VC firm and idea. And after months of going back and forth and kind of developing, a plan, a format, a rundown for a show, I envisioned how we could do it, where we would go, and put together a whole plan so that the investors could see, kind of visualize what it could be. They finally said yes. And it wasn't just the fact that I had the skills to put together a show and write and create a show because of my 22 years in the business. They genuinely saw my dedication, curiosity in everything about the technology and cryptocurrency. It just, I can tell you right now that I would never go back to news.
Traditional news.
Yeah, traditional news anyway, the way I used to do it. So once they bought the idea, I pitched called Adventures in Crypto plan, and we went back and forth for months and months. They agreed and they funded our show. We all, myself and my crew, the production company, we all agreed on what we could do it for the least amount of money, obviously, because everyone is a little tight right now, and because of the bear market. So they gave us a budget, and we agreed to that budget, and in all that, and we started shooting in July of 2018, just last year. As soon as we got funded, we got to work because we already knew what stories we wanted to focus on, what countries we wanted to go to. We had all this planned out already. We were just waiting for the green light and the money to be able to book all of this. So for just about the entire summer, myself, crews, my production company that is doing this Malta media out of Atlanta, we got to work, and we were nonstop for the entire summer shooting. We went to Japan, we went to Spain, we went to the blockchain cruise on the Mediterranean, where we had access to amazing people in the space like Bobby Lee, Roger Ver, all of the people the names that John McAfee, they were all on this ship, and we had the opportunity to talk to all of them. And except for John McAfee, I was able to talk to him a little bit later at his home. A trip in itself, but
I can imagine.
Yeah, on our website, I've been working on some video blogs and things, and we're gonna have a whole blog and with video and everything on that whole day spent with McAfee at his house with him and his wife Janice and his security detail. It was amazing. It was crazy. It was fun. It was a little scary, but it was probably one of the most memorable interviews I'll ever have in my life. But we also went domestically to New York to see how, the legacy institutions are handling this, and how right under their noses on Wall Street are other companies that are dealing with alt lending. And, we went to Montana to the Crow agency. The Crow people were kind enough to let us and our crew onto their reservation and reveal to us that in an entire mining facility on their land, they're calling it the Giga Ranch, and it's going to be completely hydropowered. So they're not going to spend extremely little to nothing on electricity to be able to mine. And they're also creating their own cryptocurrency called One Nation Coin. And what they're hoping to do is through a group called United Tribal Partners, they have representatives from all different tribes throughout the country, campaign educating all the tribes throughout the United States over to this One Nation coin, so that the Native American tribes can truly be sovereign from the U.S. government, truly, after hundreds of years of oppression. You only have to know basic history to know what's happened to the indigenous people. They're going to finally be in that position to be a truly sovereign. And we had the just complete honor of being invited by them to see where they're going to do this, here are their plans. And they even introduced the technology to their people during their 100th Crow Fair, which we also got to witness. And they set up an entire display for the Crow people to come in and try to see what it's like to vote on the blockchain, to buy things with cryptocurrency. They were all given phones, run through these sort of drills to see how it works. And they were beyond excited. Some of them were so emotional, like about to cry, because this is the kind of transparency and freedom and power that they have been fighting for hundreds of years. And they actually got to see it in real time by the company that is developing the blockchain for them, He3Labs. And it was a moving day and experience to see their reaction. Dealing with Indigenous people, you cannot blame them for being so distrustful and very cynical about things they're told that are going to help them and better them. They were really moved by this. And so that's going to be part of our show. So it's stuff like this that just moving. And to me, that's journalism. It's about the blockchain and it's about crypto, but it's also, this is the story. This is what journalists do. We want to get the story. Of course, we want to get the exclusive, and that's what the Crow people gave us. But it's also how they, if you think about it, are going to be the example possibly for the rest of the United States on how to make this work for everybody. And it's really, I can't wait to show this story.
You guys seem to be right on the cutting edge of everything, so I'm very much looking forward to this. You talked about some huge names, McAfee, Bobby Lee, and then this whole project with the tribe. I'm a little bit taken back. You guys started six or so months ago, and you've already done so much, and you've already talked with so many people about so many different stories. So I don't really know what else to say there except congratulations. Honestly, it's mind blowing to me that you guys have done so much in so little time. So we've kind of got a background of what adventures in crypto is going to be about, some of the stories that you guys are going to be dropping when you guys actually launch and get all the editing done. And I know you talked a little bit about kind of how the show came to be with the investors first reaching out and then you pitching this idea to these investors. Can you kind of get into the details of, if somebody wanted to do this themselves, which obviously is a huge endeavor because you are dealing with raising funds, talking with leaders of industry that may not always be available. Can you talk about how exactly things got set up, how you get these stories? Because this is your expertise, so I feel like everyone who's listening really wants to know how you're really putting this all together.
Well, first of all, it didn't hurt that I had such a long career in television journalism and in journalism period to draw from. Really, I was asked to MC this event. It could have just been that, and I could have not paid attention and could have not invested a little time to try to learn in between the speakers. But my first bit of advice is people in this space are trying to teach you and taking the time, share this passion, listen, because the investors spent so much time over that period where we were building the idea for the show and putting the whole plan together and everything, that I listened to everything they had to say, but they also spent their own time teaching me and explaining to me out of the goodness of their hearts, but also because they believe so deeply and passionately. So I took the opportunity. Yes, I had the background. Yes, listened, and I explored it more. A lot of people in this space who really believe in it and know the impact it's going to have. So keep with those people. I would say immerse yourself in everything you can read, listen to, like your podcast, and really get to know it, because I feel like those are the things that present the opportunities. And that's exactly what I did. I was doing this while I was still working at CBS, unbeknownst to everybody that I was working with. Time when I wasn't at work, just completely devouring everything I could about crypto. And yes, it's a little bit of luck too. It's, the whole saying that, you work hard, you create the opportunity, and when luck comes, there you are. It's a little bit of all of it: hard work, opportunity, and luck. And I just extremely lucky to find investors who are not only extremely passionate about this, but they're family people, and they saw the value in this, and they saw that I saw the value in it and was passionate too. And the stars aligned. And you know what? Sometimes I'll take dumb luck any day too. But it was a combination of all of it: the hard work, the opportunity, and the luck. And you just make this your world, or whatever it is you're passionate about, your world. You will come up with the opportunity if you put in the hard work, and that luck will come around. You just got to keep at it. Like you have a crypto podcast. There aren't many of you guys out there with crypto podcasts. I mean, they're starting to pop up more and more, but you've been doing it for a little while now. And so you already have a head start because you saw the future in this. It's the same thing. You got to start somewhere. And I just thought, what do I have to lose?
A lot of people might be thinking when you say, what did I have to lose? They're like, oh, your job, but I think you see the bigger, you really see the bigger picture here. And that's why you took that leap. And that's why you're here on my podcast. And that's why you've had all these, amazing interviews. And this is why you're doing so much, is because you believe in this and you have vision and you took that leap. So you touched on, some great tips and kind of, but they were a little bit general, for someone who, if someone's listening to this podcast with the idea of maybe joining or starting their own crypto show, kind of news show, let's just give them a couple tips. Like, for example, how did you get these? Sure. How did you get these interviews with these huge names? I know a lot of people get brushed off when they kind of reach out to people. So maybe talk about that.
They were trapped because honestly they were, because my director one day emailed me as we're putting together the whole idea of the show and where we're going to shoot and all that kind of stuff. And he said, look, have you seen this Mediterranean cruise, the CoinsBank Cruise? All these people are going to be speaking on it. And so he emailed me the info. And I thought, this is great, because look at all these people: McAfee, Roger Ver, Bobby Lee. I mean, all these, like, wow. And Brock Pierce. And this is an all-star lineup, which I would not have known had I not been doing my research and reading and totally immersing myself in the world, right? Those people, those names would have meant nothing to me. So I said, we got to go on this. And he said, yeah, I think you're right. So we asked our investors, hey, do you know who's running this CoinsBank Cruise thing? And they said, yeah, let me check. And they said, yes, we know. We'll get you on the ship and for a discounted fee for media. Okay. So, it doesn't hurt to ask. The worst they could say is no, but we could still, as no, we don't know anyone on the ship, and we still could have bought our tickets for full media price. Right. But we were able to have some connections, which helped us with our budget, save a little bit of money. But I saw that they were all on this cruise for 3 days, and they could only outrun me for so long. On the cruise, we're out in the Mediterranean. So I knew I knew that at some point, once we got on the ship, getting to know who their people are, their handlers, if you will, the people, their posses and, all their entourage, you just got to ask. I, just like everybody else, went up and asked and said, hey, listen, we're doing this show and we're on this cruise. And, I used to be with CBS and I left, and I'd love to talk to them. Here's my info. Here's my number. Here's where we're staying on the ship. And I just took a crack at it, and fortunately everybody said yes. So it helps that they were, quite honestly, if I'm being totally real, they were trapped on this ship and they couldn't get away from me. So, I looked for an opportunity where I could get them, like if you go to a conference and you see these people and you're trying to maybe just, get yourself out there for whatever it is you're pitching, your podcast, your show, whatever, your app, whatever it is. So you put yourself in the same space as them in front of their faces. I mean, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, and it's true. And in a lot of these situations, already expecting to be mobbed, right? People coming up to them wanting pictures, asking questions. So they're already in this mode of, they know they're working at these types of things, these conventions and these, cruises and all these things. So if you're ready to go and you come up to them and take a swing at it, there's a good chance that you might get even just a little bit of what you're looking for. Would be my advice.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. You got creative is what I really took out of that. You didn't stop at just reaching out to them. You got tickets to a cruise. You went out and you hunted them down. And honestly, you did. And you got these stories, and I love that, because I feel like too many people are kind of scared to reach out.
But really, what's the worst they could say is no. It's not like they're going to punch you when they say no. I mean, if they do, then there's something seriously wrong with them.
Yeah.
But I mean, the worst they could say is no, and you try again. I mean, that's it.
Exactly.
You're never going to know if you don't ask.
And I think that's the biggest issue with some people that they have, is that they get too in their head and they don't ask. And like you mentioned, so many people in the space are willing to help and willing to teach and, willing to go out of their way to get other people involved because they see the value in this space. So to anyone who's listening, if you reach out, I can almost guarantee you that, you will have people that are willing to help you with whatever kind of you're working on, because you took the time out to talk to them and show that they are somebody. So I love that. I still can't believe you went and jumped on a cruise with everybody. And so moving on from kind of getting this started, you talked about a lot of the interviews and the projects that you're kind of working on or have already filmed and are now in the process of editing. Can you give me what you are most excited about for 2019 with regards to this show? Because you've already thrown up some amazing stories. I'm not sure how you're going to top that, but tell me what you're kind of doing in 2019 and what you're excited for.
Well, we're already looking towards the next season shooting for the show. All of us who are on the crew have been amassing stories that we see pop up that people will relate to. Like, for instance, in Ohio, I know last month, the treasurer of Ohio decided that he was going to be extremely progressive and accept Bitcoin for tax payments from businesses. Think about it. Ohio is the first state in the country making those kinds of headlines. And, so I want to go to Ohio and talk to the treasurer and talk to some of these businesses who are planning to do this, pay their taxes, business taxes with Bitcoin, because these are the types of things that are going to make the change. These are the real world applications that people are going to watch others do and then maybe get more comfortable with it. So, we are going to try to highlight some of those examples in the United States, but also how in other parts of the world where exchanges are opening up and giving people access to banking for the first time, crypto banking and peer-to-peer, payments and stuff like that, entire lives. And they can do it all on their phone. So I want to highlight some more of those stories. We're also eyeing Malta because, as you know, Malta, if you're in the space, that Malta is really transforming itself and implementing blockchain technology and cryptocurrency. They want to be called or referred to, in fact, they already are, a blockchain island. So we want to go there and see how it's progressing and how it's working and how it's being used in real life, so that in the next season, people actually see now these concepts being put to work and actually being used, and why it's so much of a big deal. We're already planning that. We don't have a home yet. We have some interest right now, hoping some of the interest pans out. And when we make our pitches, as soon as the show is finalized and completely edited and done and ready to go.
So season 2 already, jumping into the next one, you're, pushing forward. I love that. And I also liked about, the kind of stories that you are going to be touching on, because a lot of people get caught up in the price movement and this downward bear market that we've been in. But, 2019, 2020, in the coming years, adoption is really going to blow up, in my opinion. And so you've already got your mind on it, Let's talk on adoption. Let's go talk about, Bitcoin being accepted for taxes. Let's go talk to the people in Malta. So you're very new to the industry, but you already can see where it's going, which really it shows in what your project is about and where it's headed.
Well, if you stick with what I know journalism, and I know really compelling stories, and I know how to put them together and tell them. And the fact that I'm extremely passionate about it and a complete believer helps too. And I'm just so excited for everyone to see these stories and really watch them and do their own research. I see, and I hope to inspire people and get them motivated to start learning and teaching. But yeah, a very short amount of time, my life has changed completely. And I got to tell you that even if the show crashed and burned for some odd reason, I just can't go back to television journalism in the traditional way that I'd done it. I'm forever changed. And I know I would want to be doing something in this space. I can't go back.
What you just said was you wouldn't go back to, traditional network television news reporting. That's actually kind of a great segue into my final question. And I like to ask everyone who comes on, if you had to start over, the show, like you said, crashed and burned, and you were starting completely fresh, what's the first thing that you would do to kind of get back on track and build up back to where you are now?
Well, I would certainly approach the Met in this space and worked with in this space to see if maybe they have a job.
There we go.
But I would try to, take that job and try to turn it again to make the biggest impact. That's definitely what I would do. I would definitely start using the connections that I've made and the friends that I've made in this space to see how I'd be able to make impacts in other ways using the skills that I have.
There we go. Yes. So make connections, leverage those connections, and really start to figure out how you can make an impact. Because if you don't know how you can make an impact, you can't really move forward with any kind of business. You'll have no direction, really. So Figure out your long-term vision, make those connections, network a lot, figure out how to use everyone in this industry to your advantage. Last thing I kind of want to touch on, because I'm sure everyone who's listening is like, well, where can I see these interviews? So you said you're looking for a home right now, but in the meantime, where can everyone go check this out?
Absolutely. adventuresincrypto.tv. Pretty soon we have our social media person working on, and our editor working on cutting some video packages to go with the blogs, and that are going to be posted probably within the next week or so. But keep checking back. There's a little preview and a little snippet of some of the people and parts of the world we've been able to see on this journey. So they can go to adventuresincrypto.tv right now, and we will be posting the updates. And once we are much closer to a launch date, we'll have all of the information on our website.
There we go. Yeah. So I'll have that link in the bio and the description of the podcast for anyone who wants to go check that out. It's adventuresincrypto.tv. And if you've got any sort of breaking stories or you want to be a part of this team in any kind of way, on their website, there is a link to get involved. So reach out. I'm sure everyone who's involved with Adventures in Crypto would be more than happy to speak with you. Just shoot him an email. So
We absolutely would. We'd love to hear from you. I'm just absorbing everything I can. So please reach out.
Elsa, I really appreciate you sitting down and talking with us. We went over a ton. I'm really looking forward to the show, what you guys are going to be putting out. You've got some huge stories. So I will be staying tuned. Please keep everyone updated and involved as possible. And again, thank you for coming on.
It's absolutely my pleasure to be with you. And thank you for asking me to be with you. If you ever have any questions, you know where to find me.
All right, guys, I've got a small favor to ask. If you enjoyed this episode or any of our previous episodes, could you please share this with your network? We want to get the cryptocurrency message out to as many people as possible, get them involved, interested, and then get them building businesses centered around cryptocurrencies. And so as a thank you to all of the people who have been listening thus far, we're doing that. We're doing giveaways. And so the winner of this week's giveaway, which is $25 in Bitcoin, that's going to Jan_Bell. So if you could reach out to me, get in contact with me, we'll get you that Bitcoin. And to everybody else, be on the lookout. Like I've said before, we're giving away cash and prizes every single week. So again, if you didn't win, be on the lookout next week. Thanks, guys. All right, guys, that wraps up another episode. And I just want to take a quick second to ask you a huge favor. If you found anything in the episode helpful or it's been inspiring to you in any way, I just ask that you share it with your friends, family, anyone you know on social media, and hopefully we can help them out as well. Have a good one.